Hey Bandidos, Tux here, another meta break video where I share great weapons and loadouts you are likely overlooking so you can explore unique and effective ways to play to keep the game fresh. And today I bring you a unique multi-weapon loadout focusing on the cuelebre shotgun as the primary. Let's do it! So let's talk about the current state of the game right now from the perspective of builds. There's inevitably always a meta. And so I've been doing this series for, I don't know, a couple of months now, and I call it the meta break so that you can take a break from the meta and, look at exploring some other really great weapons in the game. So I'm just kind of giving you a look at some other weapons that I really enjoy, that I've discovered, many of which I didn't always like at one point, but at some point I realized how cool they were, and that gives me the opportunity to share them with you. And these are not necessarily unique, but overlooked. Sometimes they're unique, but more important, I show them to you because they're effective. And you're gonna get the job done as if you were running the meta, whatever it is. This isn't a comparison video, that's not what we're doing here. It's an options video to show you, hey, there's more out there than just what everybody is running. You don't have to run those builds. I mean, for certain circumstances, it's probably best. For the most part, just generally speaking, there's other really great weapons and combos that you can run out here. And so why is this important? Well, mostly for longevity in the game. And I've been asked what my secret is over the years. I've been playing this game basically since 2019, almost straight through. I've gotten asked, especially during the dry periods, like, hey, what keeps you from getting bored? Like, how are you not bored of the game? So especially when there's dry periods, and we're gonna have those dry periods, I think, more now than ever, because the devs have changed our schedule on how we receive content. And so the metas are fun, they really are, but they dry up in the form of fun. Now, this is subjective, so your definition of fun is gonna be different than mine, but from my experience, playing with the same build over and over again is not something that I look forward to, it's something that I dread. Whether it's the strongest build in the game or not isn't important to me. As a matter of fact, like the Ouroboros is one of the metas right now. It's the newest meta. Before that, it was the St. Elmo's, which is still a meta. They are very effective weapons, and everybody's running it with the Striker build. And literally, everybody's getting sick of Striker. I'm seeing it in comments all over the community. Oh, great, another Striker build, whatever. And yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. Another Striker build, Things have changed. The dynamics of the game have shifted over the years, and we used to have a lot more options in a way. Even though we had less gear selection, things were built from the ground up. We're not anymore. Now we're using gear sets because it's a straightforward path to getting to the most powerful we can be. Striker being the only pure DPS set we have means if you're really interested in power, and everybody should be to a degree, because we all need to have that loadout for particular content, then it's gonna be Striker. It's what everybody's gonna roll to. And so some people, because that's all they're looking for, that's all they're gonna wear. And for different reasons, maybe they're always playing the same mission or whatever. And there's people that do that, right? All they do is the incursion, and that's it. And they don't play anything else. And that's just the way they play. That's what they have fun with. So they're always gonna be looking for the strongest ways to do that. And Striker is gonna be at the top of their list. Quick break to walk through the build, show you the details. Here we go. So this is all centered around the cuelebre, which is the named M870 shotgun. It drops in the open world anywhere where targeted loot is set to shotguns. You can also get this from named item caches or countdown. And the cuelebre has very high damage. It's the M870, so that does make it the strongest shotgun in the game from a base damage perspective. We got 75% RPM, 5 rounds in the mag, and we get shotgun damage, high damage to armor. I put damage to targets out of cover on mine, and then really decent stability for a shotgun. So perfect jazz hands gives you 30% reload speed, and that's a game changer. It really is. It says my reload speed is 2 seconds, but that's from empty. So I'm gonna show you how fast this is from a single reload perspective and from empty, but 2 seconds is the same as an assault rifle. So that's very, very good reload speed on a shotgun. Weapon handling as a mod, I got reload speed as a mod and more reload speed. So that's contributing to that. And then I got the Crimson skin. You also have the Night Stalker, both really cool skins. So before we get into the rest of the build, let's just kind of walk through that reload because that's basically the centerpiece of the build. So that's really fast for a shotgun. And then from a single reload, let me show you that. I mean, it's so fast, it's not even there, really. Now, it's a one shot, one kill. And so basically, you have an endless mag if you play that way. So I kill, reload, and then you never empty. The alternative is the M870 with pummel. It's a very popular way to play, and in some circumstances it is better, especially for things like speed runs where you have these moments where you can't even reload for 2 seconds. But most of you are probably not speed running, so the other main difference is pummel gives you 40% weapon damage when you get 3 consecutive kills, and then it only lasts for 10 seconds. So this isn't performance based, where pummel is extremely performance based, and that makes it, in my mind, an easier shotgun to use, but just as powerful, because again, you can see we did everything that we needed to do without the extra 40% damage that's really not there very often anyways with pummel. So whatever, a lot of circumstances in there, and that makes that pummel very circumstantial. Okay, so I am running the 1886. I got reload speed here, and then I'm running determined. So there's a mechanic to that. You have to have headhunter activated, then you switch to this, you get 1 headshot kill to turn on determined, and then you can shoot anybody anywhere from that point forward. Then I have the Regulus. This build is not built around the Regulus, but I'm just showcasing it as an option here because it gives the pistol a different identity. So if you don't have that, then you could also run the Busy Bee, which I don't have here, and you could stack up some extra damage, tag a bunch of people, and then get out of cover and start popping off some heads. Do the White Death Sniper here, and then the D50 there with Determined. That's a really good way to play too. And then the TAC 50 is actually playing a role here. So I use it really to kick off the fight or to pick off those dangerous enemies at range. And so this is giving us more headshot damage as well as more stability to our loadout. So for the gear set, I'm running Hunter's Fury, making that shotgun very strong. We get the shotgun damage, we get 20% armor on kill. There's really all the survivability we need right there. And then Apex Predator, which is 20% amplified damage within 15 meters, and that's stackable, but you also get a debuff that staggers enemies on kill, giving you even more survivability, allowing you to get that reload in there, right? Then you got armor, headshot damage here, and so that's gonna be your loadout. And then we have weapon damage and headshot damage on the gloves, and the knees are more weapon damage and headshot damage, and the holster is gonna be no surprises, armor with headshot damage. Now for the chest, I'm not running the perfect chain killer chest, which is Walker. I'm running Providence so that I can get more headshot damage. It gives me a little bit more flexibility on the build, but also we need to make sure we hit the 150% headshot damage threshold to ensure that we're getting the most out of our chest talent, which is called Headhunter. So I have headshot damage weapon handling, so that's helpful more to landing our shots and more reload. And then Headhunter basically gives you 1,250% cap damage from the last headshot kill to the next one. So that's pretty darn powerful, and what is allowing us to one-tap enemies as well as chain kill them, which is really important, including bosses. Hey Bandidos, the community we have built together wouldn't have been possible without you. So as a thank you for supporting my channel, I am bringing you the hookup on member perks, including even more Division 2 content and the celebrated gaming music playlists. If you're not part of Tux's Players Club, now is your chance. For the backpack, I'm running the Memento for that 3rd armor core that's allowing me to be a little bit free and drop my shield so I can move faster and absorb that damage with the bonus armor. Then I'm running 1 protection from elites mod, so the Providence mask is helping me do that so that I can keep my stats up on the headshot damage front while still running a little bit of protection from elites to protect the bonus armor and also my skills like the shield. They can take a little bit more damage. And then I got a red core, blue core, skill efficiency, short-term buffs and long-term buffs. So we got weapon damage by 5 times 4, so that's 20% every time we pick up a single trophy. That 20% damage is stackable, so it easily makes up for not having pummel if we feel like we needed that damage buff. And then we have the additional 30% additive damage when we're at full stacks, and you can take damage and those still stay up, which is nice. So it's not like vigilance. And then you got the 10% bonus armor per blue core, and we got 3 of those. And then we're getting 3% armor regen, so that's my source of heals that is passive. And then we got skill efficiency to help the skills. So if you look at the skills, that's a tier 3 shield, technically a tier 4 shield. I don't know why it says tier 3, but it is saying tier 3. Weird. It's a tier 4 shield though. And then I'm running the decoy. Mostly that's to protect you from the riot foam, but also when you have big groups of enemies, it's good to distract some of those dangerous ones. This is the key stat here, 150% headshot damage. That's the shotgun. And then you want to make sure that all your guns are over 150, which they should be at 180 with the rifle, 215 with the pistol, and the TAC is at 300. So the calibre is kind of new to me. Now, a long time ago, I picked it up and, gave it a try, but I didn't like the M870 at all at the time. It was wasn't really my gun. Over time, I decided that it was the go-to shotgun for me, sort of graduated into it as it became more experienced. Most of us run pummel with the M870, but the reality is that you don't really need that extra damage that pummel gives you. And so what we're really looking for is the free reload. And that's because shotguns are just nasty when it comes to reload, especially the M870. So the better the shotgun, usually the worse the reload it is. So why are shotguns so hard? Well, one of the reasons is range. I mean, you got to get extremely close to the enemy, and they love to melee you at these ranges. The other thing is a lot of these shotguns have a really low rate of fire. Small mags and horrible reload. So you put that all together and they can be a nightmare to run. But they're so strong, it's crazy. And what I learned is with the cuelebre, you don't really need that extra damage from pummel because the shotgun itself is really strong. You're talking about like a 2 million base damage shotgun, give or take, without expertise. It gets like really strong. And I'm running armor on this one because you can. Even then, I don't need the extra damage for pummel, which only lasts for 10 seconds anyway. So what the cuelebre brings is jazz hands, perfect jazz hands, which is a unique talent. And it's extremely strong. It basically gives me the reload of an assault rifle. That's from empty, which I don't normally wait to reload when I'm down to empty. So I reload basically in between kills and kind of preventing an empty scenario. And basically, oops, missed him. Basically able to one-tap most of our enemies here. And so very fast reloads. Double kill. But there's more to it than just the reload, and we're going to talk about that. It's the talent gives you the flexibility to rotate in other weapons, and that makes you an even stronger player because you can now be more versatile. So like I said, shotguns are really tough because you have to play at like extremely close ranges, but now that you're able to rotate in other weapons without penalty, what I mean by without penalty is that when you do it with pummel, when you have pummel on an M870 and you rotate weapons, you lose your kill count, which is how you get your basically your free reload. Can't switch weapons, so you're kind of stuck with it. But with the cuelebre, you don't, because jazz hands is always active on the first shot and the last mag, whatever. And so it's always there, and so you can rotate as many times as you like and not worry about it, which is super helpful so that you can use some of your other really favorite weapons, like the Regulus. And then get some crowd control in there. And then I'm also running a rifle, which is gonna allow me to run determined and get really fast kills. So as you can see, you can be a really versatile player at all ranges. And so it sort of fixes the shotgun conundrum, but they're all gonna have their values, right? So shotguns can require a little bit more patience, I would say, over precision, where things like rifles and pistols are more precision. So you see the patience I have, so I kind of wait for between each shot to make sure I get the cluster of the pellets to land on the head. Because if you clip the enemy, they count it as a miss, and then you might lose your headshot stack from the build. But we're not done, there's more weapons, so that's only 3 of the 4. We have a 4th weapon that we're gonna be using for range. Now there's several different weapon loadouts that you can use, and I'll explain that in a build, but that right there is the TAC 50. And so the TAC 50 you can use to activate your headhunter from range, and then you have the one-shot kill capacity at that point, giving you tons more survivability. So you can earn it before you get out there and start, you know, risking your life, so to speak. So on the turn, it ends up being much less risky of a build, sort of. It's just a different way. I mean, both have their merits, but in the end, I think I like this one better than pummel, just again, like I said, for the versatility reasons. For example, switching to the TAC 50 would disengage my pummel count, and that really sucks. And so you got 2 things you're worried about. One is your headhunter buff, and the other is your reload. The cuelebre doesn't interfere with both of those priorities. And the shotgun is very strong enough to take on any boss. Look at this, a whole crew of dudes, huh? Watch out for riot foam. It's your nightmare. If they hold you still, you know, it sucks, right? You can pull out your TAC 50 just to get the job done easier. See you, big boy. Thanks for swinging by. Pretty easy. Just requires a little bit of focus. And yes, I'm on the Xbox using the standard controller with the aim assist turned off. So you can one-shot the boss. I just didn't have the right stacks at that time. Let me circle back on to my secret, because I've been playing this from the very beginning. And I can tell you, it's not about the devs and the content that they release. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is that they wait for the newest raid, like Dark Hours or Iron Horse, or the new incursion like Paradise Lost. And you know, that's what they lean on for fun. It has to be delivered from the devs. And everything's delivered from the devs at the end of the day. So don't get me wrong, I'm kind of generalizing here. But for me, it's the builds, and there really are infinite possibilities. And that's sort of what I have created my community around, is that, hey, unique and effective. At the end of the day, the defining metric, the most important metric in the game is actually the word fun. It's fun. And in my opinion, it's got to be effective to be fun. So it's not really fun if it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Some of that can be subjective, because it can be up to a playstyle to what the hell? To determine whether it works, right? Hold on, let me kill these guys. Okay, he's out. For me, build diversity is fun, but just because I'm exploring build diversity doesn't mean they're not effective. And that's why we talk about objective builds with objectives, right? What is it meant to do? What is it designed to do? There's a lot of divergence in the community around some of these topics, like build diversity, and it really sprouts from that, because there's a portion of the community, they're sort of generalists with their builds. So they have one power build, they have one skill build, they have one status effect build. And for them, it's important that the build works for all content. Perhaps they use the same build for all content, and that's one of their objectives. I only need one build. And you see it, right? You see those commenting that way, saying this is the only striker build you need, or stuff like that. And, you know, that's not my way of playing, personally, you know? I got striker builds with the mementos, striker builds with the striker backpack, striker builds with full armor, striker builds with no armor. I got the skill striker build, you know, so on and so forth. So it's, you know, I don't subscribe to the single build theory, because I just don't believe, honestly, I don't believe one build rules at all. Now, playstyle can, and so the player can rule it all. And it might look like there's one build to rule it all. And yeah, you know, I think we're splitting hairs there a little bit. Is it the player or is it the build? It's the player, in my opinion, right? There's no build that really makes the player makes the build. So if a player masters this game to the point where you could probably use the same build on all content, then he could probably run any build on that content within reason, you know? So I'm saying, like, he could probably put on strikers, and he'd probably be able to do the same job with Heartbreaker. And if you dared him to, he probably would get it done. It's a matter of willingness. But he chooses to go with striker because it's easier for him, or fits his play style, or it's more conducive, or allows him to go faster, whatever his objective is. This game has a lot to explore in the form of different builds, and sometimes it's the same build with a different weapon, and the weapon's attributes kind of become more obvious when you equip it on a certain build. Like Umbra, for example, brings 30% rate of fire, right? And it's definitely not the strongest gear set in the game. It's not intended to be, because it brings you heals as well as DPS. But so that's balanced in the equation. But its RPM feature at 30% can feel really good on certain weapons, and it has a 30% reload speed buff. And so weapons like the Pestilence, for example, if you run the Pestilence with Umbra, it feels really good. It makes it fun, and it's still effective. Now, it's not gonna give you the strongest tick, but you're now critting with that weapon, which you probably weren't doing before. And so ultimately, you're putting out more stacks faster and landing more hits. At the cost of a higher damage stack. What I like to say is at the end, the results are still the same. That is high survivability, fast time to clear, or whatever. So even for me, I am still discovering really amazing weapons and builds, not because they're necessarily new, and then not because they've changed, but because I have evolved over many years of playing this game, right? My gameplay style has evolved, what I learned to appreciate changed, and my realizations have changed. And sometimes it's the devs' influence that they'll introduce a new weapon or a new gear set, and then it has me exploring a gameplay style more or a weapon class more, and then because I'm exploring more, I'm going into more depth, and I see things that I had never seen before. Now, these are typically not number things. Maybe it's a fire pattern or a cadence. You evolve in this game. You know, if you want to make sure the game stays fresh or to master the game, maybe is the best way I should say it. Trying other things and to perfect your gameplay, I think is important to making sure this game's got legs for you. So let me know what you guys think about the cuelebre and this multi-weapon loadout. And let me know where you're using to take a break from the meta.
Follow me.